So welcome to another online training of Prime project. This time we are going to talk about the learning process and how to support your participant with intellectual disabilities in the learning process during a mobility project. So now I will share my screen with you. Let me see. So can you see the presentation, the PowerPoint? Yes? Okay.
Yes. Not presenting view, but yeah.
And now, yes.
No.
No.
It's not, now it's presenting view, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, we are going to talk about the learning process, but we need to first understand the context. We are not going to talk the learning process in general. Well, yes, but we are going to focus in the context of the mobility project, as in Erasmus Plus or in the European Solidarity Corp program. So, because these mobility experiences, they are considered learning opportunities, and more specifically, they are non-formal learning. But what we mean about this non-formal learning? So there are three types of learning or education. We have the formal learning, the non-formal learning, and the informal learning. And now I would like to ask you if you ever heard about this, what do you know about this, some differences, what do you want to share about what you understand about some or all of these types of learning? Yes, Antoine.
My experience is what a big confusion there is between two things. One is that non-formal, the word is mixed up with informal because it is considered less formal. That is one thing. So even the Maltese National Curriculum Verification Entity still says that a course, for example, a music course, is informal learning because it is not school. So the confusion is even institutional.
Hmm.
And because I'm old, I remember when informal learning used to be called accidental learning.
Hmm.
It was the generic learning, learning that in Malta they drive on the other side, etc. But by time it became more structured, and we built a lot of experience on developing pre-planned informal learning, which is actually all the youth sector. Most of the
Mhm.
youth activities, the validation is about informal learning that is, however, created to happen. It's no longer accidental learning. It has become a planned
Mhm.
dimension of the learning experience.
Mhm. Okay, so this, and you talk about in the beginning about this mixing of non-formal and informal, so we will also see that, and that it's a good point that you pointed at, because sometimes we can see it mixed or only two types instead of three types, yes. Lina, also, do you want to share?
Hello. I want to say that now we start more and more to talk about self-directed learning. And self-directed learning, it means learning by yourself in your own way, by reading books, watching movies, discussing with colleagues, or discussing with some stranger in bus, for example, when you are discussing different topics and you are learning a lot from experience of other people or from knowledge of other people. So this is the learning process as well.
Yes, it is. Yes. So the way that we learn, we all saw different ways, not only the formal one, but there are, and I believe that it depends also in countries' theories, or as Antoine said, also in the national agencies or national or even institutional. So it depends a lot also in the theories that we can find. Here I try to structure a little the differences between these three. That sometimes can be confusing, but we can check all these and trying to compare all of them. So we have the formal learning that normally it happens in schools, the universities, so the accredited institutions. It is highly structured because you have a curriculum, you have a timetable, the exams, and you have an official recognition because it gives you diplomas, degrees. It is intentional, highly intentional. It is organized. It has a planned learning, planned by a teacher. It is teacher centered, so it is authority figure, let's say, that actually plan everything, plan what you are going to learn and how you are going to learn. It is usually mandatory for minors, at least that depend on your country, on your laws, but it is the compulsory school, let's say. It is usually mandatory. The learning style is more theoretical, is more knowledge driven, so the teacher that gives you that pass knowledge to you, and the assessment is made by exams. It gives you grades and it is standardized. So the way that you learn the curriculum, the program, what you learn, how you learn, and also how you are evaluated is standard for everyone. So the teacher decided for everyone that will be like this. On the other hand, the non-formal learning, and here we will try to see the differences between the non-formal learning. Normally it happens in the youth work, as Antoine said, youth work, the NGOs, associations, community programs, training courses. It is structured, yes, but it is more flexible. We have planned objectives, activities, and there is a facilitation by someone. There is a structure, but is more flexible. It is now often recognized, fortunately, and we are going to talk about the youth pass and some certificates or participation certificates, let's say, but it's not accredited. So it doesn't give you the credits, let's say, as the formal learning. It is also highly intentional because the participants want to join. It's volunteer. They want to join to learn. There is a figure, a role of the facilitator is not a teacher anymore, but is a facilitator that guides the learning process. It is a kind of different role, and we are going also to see, but there is a person, established person that facilitates that. The participation, as I said, is voluntary, so the learner wants to participate and wants to do it. It has a more experiential, practical, and participatory learning style. And the assessment, it can have, you have an assessment of the learnings, but they are more self-assessment through reflective tools and also through observation of what you have learned. Finally, the informal learning, sorry, it happens more in an everyday life, in the work, social context, hobbies. As Lina talked about the self-directed, and actually is what we can call it informal learning. It is not structured. It's a spontaneous, incidental, or as Antoine said, it was accident learning. No, how do you call it? Something like that. No, accidental learning, exactly. So it is kind of this. The informal is spontaneous, is incidental or accidental learning. There are no formal recognition. Actually, is often is invisible. This kind of learning, and often the intentionality is low because the learning is a byproduct of the life experiences. There are no defined facilitators, so there is no specific person that is planned to be the facilitator of the learning. And there is a natural participation depending on the situation. The learning style is more contextual, is more experiential and self-directed, as Lina said. And the assessment, actually, there is no assessment, and normally you realize that you learn something only by personal reflection. So this was trying to structure a little these three types of learning. As you said, sometimes there are only two, the formal and informal, that is sometimes mixed with the non-formal, but to try to distinguish these three types, the more formal, the more institutional, with the recognition and diplomas, all the same for everyone, the one that happens in everyday life, and the one in between, that it is structured, but it's a structure is facilitated, but it doesn't give you like the accredited the credits for, and it's not compulsory, it's voluntary. So there is these three levels. I don't know if someone has some question at this point. Okay, so I have a challenge for you to go to the mentee.com and enter this code or use the QR code. So we are going to test a little your, let's say, what you think about these learning types of learning. I will try to, let me see. Tell me if you can see the Mentimeter presentation.
Yes, we can see Mentimeter.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we have 11 people. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 12 people. Someone has some difficulty. 13 people. So I think that, yeah. Okay, 14, 15, I believe that we are all here. So are you ready? You will see some statements about some learning, let's say, and then you have some seconds until you see the three options, the formal, non-formal, and informal, and you will choose which one do you think it's the right question, the right answer. So we start. Antoine, you have a company. We will start with this. And the first question, so yeah, you prepare. Okay. Joy is attending mathematical classes in secondary school. And now you have 7 seconds to answer. Okay, so all of you, well, 10 people said it's formal, and that's right. It is formal. So this one is easy. Let's see the next one. Oh, also the rates, okay. So the goat, that we don't know who he is, but the goat is the first one for now.
It's me. It could be me.
Okay, Egle, it's you. Okay, we'll see more. Next one. Okay, we have 13 players. So now, Joy watch YouTube tutorial about change a light bulb. Everyone has voted, and we have, some let's say, indecision. Some voted for non-formal and 8 voted for informal. So it is informal because it is not structured, it doesn't give you a certificate, it doesn't have like It's something that you learn in your daily because you want to know something, to learn something, like it could be a movie or a book or also a YouTube tutorial. So it is informal. The next one, or let's see if the goat is still the first one. But the goat is Emily. Now we have the names. So no Egle, it was not
But
you.
I don't know my name. But I am in the game.
Okay, we will see in
Clippy.
the end.
I could be Clippy. Okay.
You could be Clippy. You're competitive, huh? Let's see the next one. Third question. Joy is obtaining a driver's license. So let's see.
Formal.
Ah, don't cheat. Everyone has voted. Okay, so we have a formal or non-formal. So 5 people answered non-formal. It is formal because it is a place, an accredited place, a licensed institution that will give you a certification, official certification that allows you by law to drive. So it is structured, it has a teacher, instructor, let's say, that teach you. It is the same for everyone. So it is formal in this case. Aha. Okay. Okay. Let's continue and see if someone can recover. Question 4. So we have again our friend Joy is participating in a youth exchange in Spain. This should be easy. So let's see. Non-formal, and 2 people said informal, so it is non-formal. Youth exchange in the European, in the Erasmus Plus program, it is actually also structured. It has a plan, it has a program, it has a facilitator, and it gives you the certificate in the end, the youth pass that we are going to see. So actually it is structured, and it is non-formal learning. Let's see if Emily is still. Okay, Emily is going. Haha. Let's see the next slide. Question 5. You are all ready. And now Joy is taking Spanish course in a language school. 2 seconds. And oh, very different answers. So it is formal because, as in the driver's school, the driver license school, the language school is accredited, is official, is an institution, and even if it's not inside of the regular school, the secondary school or the university, it is an institution that is accredited, and it is a structured plan, curriculum. There is some teacher that is teaching you Spanish. There is this certification in the end that says that you are the level of Spanish. So it is structured, and it is formal education or formal learning. Aha, we have a change. So Rebecca is first now. And Elena almost there. So let's go for the 6th one. And now Joy, what she's doing. Joy is having a conflict resolution workshop for volunteers. So she's in an association, she does volunteering, and they are doing this non-formal, exactly. So this workshop It's not so she's a volunteer in association, and they for volunteers they are doing this conflict resolution workshop. It is structured, but it is not like they don't give them official certification, let's say, accredited with credits for this conflict resolution workshop. Is actually a workshop, but it's structured, is for everyone. It has a facilitator, so it's also non-informal. It's a non-formal education. Oh, this is really, haha, okay. Clippy, Egle, if you are Clippy, I'm disappointed. I
Me
know.
too. I don't like this game, you know. This is official position.
Okay, but you still have time to recover. Let's see, let's see. Where is Joy? Is learning how to make pizza by watching her mother. Mm-hmm. Informal, exactly. Is informal because yeah, is as Lena said before, is by your daily life, by watching people, by talking with people, by learning with the others in an informal way in your daily life. It's not that her mother prepared a class or there is a certificate in the end. But it is by watching and by living her daily life that she is learning this to how to make pizza. So it's informal. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, Elena, almost, almost. So 8, Joy is participating in a vocational training to become a chef. It is formal. In this case, when she will finish this vocational training, so this professional training, she will have a certificate, an accreditation that she can actually be a chef, an official chef, a professional chef in a restaurant or for her profession. So it is formal. Hmm. Okay, nice, Rebecca. Let's see. Joy now is using Duolingo to learn English. Hmm, can be tricky. It is informal, yes. Normally, everything that even if who did the application, the Duolingo, uh, it made some structure, but it is informal because it is something that you are using like YouTube. No, you are using on your daily life, and an app or something you are learning, but it's informal. It is not that even if Duolingo says in the end, yeah, you are level 10 or whatever, it is not a certification in the end, so it is informal learning. And let's see if something changed. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I believe that Joy now is taking a first aid certification course by a licensed organization. It is formal, yes. This time, uh, like different as the conflict resolution workshop. In this case, it is the first aid certification course. There is some organization that is licensed to give them the certificate accredited that she is able to do first aid. So it is formal education. Mm-hmm. And okay, we have Joy, almost done. Joy repaired her bike by trial and error. Okay, perfect. Everyone, yeah, everyone got. Yeah, she just try and try, and with this, she learned what to do and what not to do. So everyone knows this one. So I don't need to explain more. Uh-huh. And now, okay, now we have Rebecca first, Elena second, Emily third, and we are going to the final one. So it's your last chance to try to win. And Joy joined the theater workshop in her hometown association. So the final one, a theater workshop in an association. It is non-formal, exactly. So it is structured. The association has a facilitator and they structure the workshop, but it can have a certificate in the end, but it is not that she will be accredited to do something in the end of this workshop. So it is non-formal. And now let's see the final rates. Oh, Elena! In the last one, you overcome Rebecca. So, Elena, congratulations. So you are an expert in the three types of learning. And I don't know if some of you have some question about this still. I will. Can you still see the presentation now, the PowerPoint, right?
Yes.
Okay. So any question about this?
Yeah, I have a case that you didn't cover because I am the winner, but I don't know the exact answer. So the case is Join is doing a vet Erasmus working experience as chef in a restaurant while she's attending a catering school. So
there's two different things, or you mean that
yeah, she's
she
doing
has a
an
traineeship?
Erasmus working experience while as part of her school path.
So it's one part of there's the traineeship
Yeah.
and the school. The school
Yeah.
for sure is formal. It will give her a certification uh, for her to be a chef in the future. But she does need the traineeship as part, or if she doesn't do the traineeship, she can do the certification anyway.
No, the traineeship is part of her school.
Okay,
path.
so then in this case is formal, let's say. Then depends in the style of the traineeship, because she's the learning styles we are also see this today. But if is a part that is it's necessary, it's compulsory for her to have this certification in the end, the professional
It's
certification,
not
to do an
compulsory,
internship.
but maybe she gets credits as working experience. But maybe if Joy is doing the same working experience after compulsory school, I don't know, maybe is non-formal education. So
Could
it
be,
is
yeah.
the same Erasmus experience, but
Yeah.
it depends if it has been
The results,
done
no? Yeah.
during and inside the school path or outside.
Yeah, so then there are also these slightly gray areas, let's say, that it depends a lot also on the recognition. It depends a lot on the results of this, for what she's doing it. So there are some gray areas, let's say. Then it depends on in the institution that gives in the Erasmus, for example, if they consider it or not formal or non-formal education. Normally is non-formal because if she's compulsory to do it, it's more formal. But if it's an option, and it's voluntary and it's adapted to her, then it's more non-formal. The thing here, the goal for this activity was for you also to understand the different types of learnings and the context of the learnings, and that not only in school that you can learn. And actually, that's why now we are going to focus more on the non-formal learning. The definition, that a possible definition is this, that the non-formal learning is an intentional, structured, but voluntary learning process. It happens normally outside of the formal education system. It uses more the experiential and participatory methods to promote the social, personal, and professional development. It is learner-centered, and we are going to talk about it often, is highly flexible, and it adapts to the needs of the learner or of the group. And normally the typical contexts are the youth work, community projects, workshops, camps, and mobility programs like Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps. The key characteristics of non-formal learning, just for you to have an idea and to start also going into the mindset of the non-formal learning. It is voluntary, as we said, voluntary participation. So they choose to participate, so they are motivated and they are engaged. It is learner-centered, again. It's adapted to their needs, the interests, experiences, and the learning styles. It is experiential. So it happens through experience, reflection, practice, and application. And we are going also to see this learning theory. Flexibility. It is flexible on the activities, on the timing, and the methods, because it adapts to the group and the context and the learner. Reflection is essential in the non-formal learning and non-formal education to realize and to transform the experiences, the actions, the experiences that the learner had into learning outputs and the recognition and the awareness of the learnings. It is social and collaborative. Normally it uses the group dynamics, cooperation, peer learning, and communication. It addresses the cognitive, emotional, social, and practical dimensions of development, so it is holistic. It is by nature inclusive and accessible because it welcomes the diversity and it adapts to the different abilities, the backgrounds, and the needs. It has no hierarchy relationship, so the facilitator, so there is no teacher that is above the participant, but the facilitator work with the participant. And this promotes also this sharing responsibility of the learning outcome. So it's not only the facilitator or the teacher that is responsible for what and how the participant learns, but is also the participant himself that is responsible for his own process, learning process. And the content is also shaped by real life issues and live experiences, so it's context responsive. Say that, and you are going to see also like some repetition of words because the concepts are very in the non-formal learning, in the principles and the values. So when we talk about the principles that guide the design and the facilitation of the non-formal education activities, you have the participation again, so they are actively involved and they contribute to the learning process actively. The empowerment, because they gain confidence, autonomy, and they are owners of their own learning. Learning by doing is experience, practical, is connected to the real life. As facilitators, you must create a safe and supporting environment so the participants feel emotionally secure and respected. This is very important. The reflection is essential. The briefings, discussions, journals, creative methods to make the learnings visible, to transform the actions and the experiences into the awareness of the learnings. inclusiveness and respect for diversity, because the differences are valued as learning opportunities. So if we are all equal, it will be less opportunities for learning. The facilitation, so the facilitator supports, guides, and encourages the participants. It is not an instructor. It doesn't only gives knowledge, but it facilitates, it supports, and it guides. It is voluntary again, as is says here. People learn best when they want to learn, not when they are pressured. And it is democratic and participatory decision makers. So we always promote in the non-formal learning for the facilitators to co-create with the participants. So you can co-create the rules, the activities, and their learning paths, but you need to involve them in the learning process. As values, the non-formal learning is rooted in the strong educational and social values, like inclusion again, and it's very important also for Prime projects. Every person has the right to participate and to learn. Participation and engagement again, it's through this active belonging and contribution. Respect and equality, everyone's experiences has a value and all voices matter. Solidarity and cooperation, because learning is collaborative, not competitive. Again, EGLE, not competitive, so it's collaborative. We need to collaborate between us to learn better. Empowerment and agency, the individuals develop self-confidence and the ability to shape their lives. It is creativity and openness, because you encourage the experimentation, the imagination. Human rights and dignity is a really important value in non-formal learning, because people need to be treated with fairness, empathy, and understanding. Non-formal learning is also, let's say, opens the door to to participants, to people that maybe doesn't fit, or the formal education doesn't fit on their own learning styles or learning needs. And it is lifelong learning, because it is a continuous personal journey. So learning is not limited to school. It is a continuous personal journey in your life. It's lifelong learning. So say that, and we repeat it again and again, some words, because they are very important for the non-formal learning and non-formal education world. There are some learning theories for non-formal education. So as we said, it relies on experiential, participatory, holistic, and learner-centered approaches. And there are a lot of learning theories that support these foundations. I put it here 10 that you can, if you are interested to explore a little more about the learning theories connected with the non-formal education, you can go and make your own research and know more about all these and others learning theories. But we are going to focus only in one. The first one is the experiential learning by David Kolb. So David Kolb, it was an American educational theoristic. He was born in 1939. He's still alive. And the central idea of this theory, this experiential learning, is that people learn best through this cycle: the experience, reflection, conceptualization, and application. So we started with you can see here the cycle, the Kolb's learning cycle. You start with the concrete experience by doing and feeling. And this is the starting point for the learning, to have a real experience. For example, participating in a group activity or trying a new tool, role playing in a workshop, experiencing a conflict during teamwork. And here the learner engages in the activity. So this is the first phase of the cycle. Then you have the reflective observation, this one, by thinking back and observing. So after the experience, after you do the concrete experience, you reflect on what happened. And you make questions like what happened during the experience, how did I feel, what went well or not well, what surprised me. And here the learner observes, analyzes, and interprets the experience. So is this reflection that I told you, the debriefing, that is very important also in the non-formal education. Then it passes to the third stage, that is the abstract conceptualization. It is the understanding, the making sense. So the learner tries to make meaning of the experience. They form new ideas or connect learning to theory. For example, some activities that can be the group discussion, linking the experience to the theory, identifying patterns, learning new models or frameworks. And here the learner develops concepts and principles. So after doing the experience, looking back and reflecting on what happened, they actually realized about this, what they learned about the experience, the results of this experience, what happened. And finally, the active experimentation, trying again or planning, the learning test what they learn in a new situation. For example, they apply the feedback in the next workshop, they try a new strategy in the teamwork, they change the behavior based on the reflection or plan a new approach. And here the learner uses the new learning to act differently. Is here where the transformation happens. So you have a concrete experience, you reflect on what happened, you realize and you make it real, let's say, and visual what you have learned, and then you put in practice what you have learned with this concrete experience. And it's a continuous cycle. So because learning is a continuous cycle, it is a continuous cycle in the theory of David Kolb. And why it fits with the non-formal education? Because most of the activities are built as experiences, they are games, simulations, projects. Then there is the reflection, the debriefing, as we talk is very important, is a core part of every session. To make sense of what you have done, you need to reflect on that. And then the learners, they build their own meaning for their experience. So even when you do a group activity, you have 20 participants, you do the same activity with all of them, you make the reflection in the group with all of them. Each one of them will take their own meaning for their experience according with their background, with their needs, with their interests, with their own reflection. So here it's not as in the formal education, you have someone that says, what you learn, how do you learn, what you know in the end, and what you will take home with you. Here, even if you do the activity for everyone, you do the reflection, but each one of them will take their own meaning of that experience. Even when we are talking about a group, and when we talk about individual, is even more personal, of course. So, about non-formal learning, about these learning theories, why are we talking about this? So theoretical, no? It is important for you, and now I'm talking, you are project staff, you are support people that are going to, so this online training is how to support your participant with intellectual disabilities during a mobility project, so how to do it. And it is important for you to understand how it works, the learning process, so you can understand also your role and your role in this support the learning process. So that's why I wanted also to talk with you about the different roles, the different people involved in the learning process of the participant. So you have and here again, we are talking about mobility projects, especially Erasmus Plus, European Solidarity Corps. You have different people that are going to influence and that can support the learning process of a participant with intellectual disabilities. For example, you have the tutor or the supervisor, and this person is the person that supports the learning process more connected to the workplace, let's say. For example, you have a trainee, a vet trainee, someone that is coming to your company, to your organization to do a traineeship, and you have a person that is responsible to support the participant on their tasks, what they need to do, how they need to do this specific task, more, let's say, technical competence. the schedule, and everything that is connected with the workplace. In the European Solidarity Corps, we call it supervisor, let's say, and this supervisor is also the person that the place where the participant will do their volunteering service, let's say. There is also a person, there is a reference figure that will tell, okay, what you need to do, how you need to do it. So the person that is connected with the, let's call it workplace, it is the tutor or the supervisor. Then you have the mentor, that is the person that supports in the hosting context, but outside the workplace. For example, local integration, intercultural learning, explaining a little how the culture, how the place works. If the participant want to go to the library, to a sports club, to the doctor, is also the mentor that indicates a little. If there are some dynamics at home, they share apartment, and there are some dynamics at home. So the mentor is the person that also support the learning process, because all of these are learnings. As we saw, he supports the learning process also outside the workplace, for all the experience, but outside the workplace. When we are talking about participants with intellectual disabilities, normally they go with an accompanying person. And it's very important, this figure, to work also together with the tutor, supervisor, and the mentor. Normally, one of the main, let's say, tasks of this accompanying person is to be a bridge on the communication between the participant and the tutor, the supervisor, or the mentor, because often the participants with intellectual disabilities in short-term mobilities, they don't speak English or the local language. So the accompanying person, the first thing that this person does is this bridge on the communication. But it's not only that, because it will be almost 24 hours with the participant, and it will support also in a daily basis learning process. So in the autonomy, increasing the independence, how to cook, how to manage the house, how to do the laundry, and so on. So this person is really important in the learning process, since the participants, normally the participants with disabilities, the things that they develop the most are the daily ones, the autonomy, the independence. The accompanying person is a really important figure in the learning process in this specific context. And then I didn't want to leave because we talk also about other types of projects. In youth exchanges, you have a facilitator. In training courses, you have the trainer. And these figures, they are also responsible for the learning process, to support the learning process. But here with a specific that they have a group of people, they need to consider the learning process and the learning needs of the group, but also of the individuals. And here is very important also to work together with the accompanying person to understand and to realize also the learning needs of the individuals. But they have this extra, let's say, extra role, extra task to understand also the group dynamics, the group learning needs, and the group learning process. So these are the figures that you are or will be one of these for sure. And there are figures, there are roles that they should work together for the learning process, and they will all influence the learning process of the participant with intellectual disabilities. And they should all be facilitators. So you facilitate, you don't do for themselves, you don't do it for them, you don't just tell them what to do, but you facilitate also this learning process, and more important, you reflect with them so they can realize what they learn. After that, what you should understand also is to adapt to know your participant, and to understand that there are different learning styles, and that each participant may have some different learning style. Again, the learning styles, there are a lot of theories. It's helpful to understand that there is diversity. There is a diversity in the learning styles. Not everyone learns in the same way, but actually, it's not that we have only one learning style. We have a mix, but there is some learning, some style that it has more impact on in our learning. The non-formal education uses these learning styles as tool for awareness, group design, and inclusion, but it's not a strict label. There are a lot of theories, as I said to you. Here there are 7 that you can also explore later, some of these theories if you want to go deeper on this argument. We are going to talk about only 2 really quick. So one is the VARC learning styles, is the most well-known model. That's why I'm talking about it. And people often prefer one or a mix of these sensory approaches. So here we are talking about sensory approaches. One is the visual. So the learners prefer images, diagrams, charts, videos, color coding, and they benefit from visual aids, mind maps, slides, posters, demonstrations. For example, when I'm learning, I always need or learning or doing a project or whatever, I always need a visual, support to understand, to make a structure in my head about the learnings. I always need to do something visual to get better the knowledge, let's say. Then you have the auditory or oral. The learners prefer spoken explanations, discussions, listening activities. So they benefit from group discussions, storytelling, verbal instructions, podcasts, lectures. For example, here I always prefer to talk with someone, to have an explanation, but someone explaining to me, speaking to me, because I also can make some questions, and if I don't understand something, it can find other words to explain to me. So in this case, for example, is one of the examples. Then we have also reading and writing. And this reading and writing, the learners prefer text-based input and output, and they benefit from handouts, lists, reflection journals, written instructions. And here I remember when I was in the university, then people change and we grow up, and maybe also the learning styles change. But when I was in the university, I remember that I had my teacher explaining, talking, and I wrote everything that he said, everything in my notebook. I was reading everything. It was really useful for my colleagues that didn't come to the class, so they can read everything and have all the material. But actually, you can think, okay, you wrote everything because later you are going to study everything that you wrote. But actually, I ever took again the notebook, because the fact that I was writing while I was hearing, it already helps me to get in the information in my brain. So writing it was helping me already. And for my colleagues even more, because they could see all the information. And then finally we have the kinesthetic. And here the learners need movement, they need touch, they need physical engagement, real life practice. So they are more physical, more handy. They benefit from role plays, the hands-on activities, simulations, working with objects or tools. Here, well, I confess it's not my preferred learning style, but I know people that, for example, when they are hearing something or in the cell phone with someone explaining something, or hearing I don't know, audiobook or whatever, they need to walk, they need to move, and it's the movement that helps them get into also into the knowledge getting into her brain. So these are the 4 theories the four learning styles in this VARC learning theory: visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. And I'm sure that while I was talking and explaining this, you were thinking about your own learning style. So, what is your learning style? Before going to the break, I would like to ask you a challenge. So, go to the chat. I will stop for a moment to share. You can go to the chat, and in the chat, you have the emojis, emoticons, and you can choose one, whatever you want, that can reflect your learning style. You have these four that can reflect your learning style. You choose one emoticon and you put in the chat, and then we'll see what kind of learnings. Let me see if there's something. Rebecca. Okay, Rebecca, you need to explain that. Your learning style is crying a river.
It's because I need to suffer to learn.
Okay, you learn by suffering. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
It is also, yeah, when
it's me.
you challenge yourself that you learn
Yeah.
more. Okay, thank you. So Tanya is written and so visual and written,
Yeah, it
okay?
depends what I'm learning or what I'm trying to learn. Because like you were saying, when I was doing my degree, I was writing everything and then I never went back to the notes. But I do like when I see visual explanations as well, graphs and charts.
Okay, okay. And again, yeah, we can have one that it has more impact, but normally we have a mix of options that are more for us. So Maria, I imagine is visual with our
Yes.
emoji. Miriam is hearing and writing, right? Okay. Ipatius is seeing, I imagine, yeah, is okay, visual. Elena, this is, you need the hands. It's, can
No,
you
it's
explain?
like this, a cube. So it depends on the context, but I try to learn in any way. So
So it's everything. Let's
everything,
take
yeah.
everything. Okay. Okay, okay. Emily is also visual and writing. Nicholas is writing. And then we have Egle. I imagine it's visual, but it's like uh, it's sunglasses, so I don't know how visual it is.
I was not able to find not sunglasses. That's why.
Ah,
Sorry.
okay. So you wanted the
But
glasses,
it is
normal
visual.
glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, it's visual. Antoine, this is written or reading?
It is writing. Yes. I
Writing.
like to write.
Okay. 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 Perfect. Ah, Ola. Okay. Can you explain a little these two people? I don't know if Ola is here, where she is. Okay, she here. I don't know if you are there, if you can explain these two emojis, and the other is visual, I imagine. No, maybe she's not here. Maybe it's kinesthetic, so maybe it's the movement.
It looks like
I
it to me.
imagine. Yeah. Okay, so we have very different. Um, oh, yes, Ola. Yeah. Don't know if you want to share.
Sorry, just came to our office and started to ask me how is the training, so I didn't pay attention for one. So yeah, it's about visual, but also yeah.
Hi,
Mm,
Jarek.
yes, it was in the description was like with chatting, with contact with people. I don't remember in which point it was, but I choose
Okay,
like
okay,
by interaction.
okay. Wait, because I did something here that I shouldn't. Where are you? Did I lost you? No, you are here. Okay. Okay, thank you all. So we saw that we have a lot of different ways of learning. We'll try to share again because there is something here. The learning style, to understand the learning style of your participant. You talk with them. If you know them, maybe you already know their preferred learning style. If you don't know, you do like Elena. You just try everything, and then you see what works the most. And also this, when you arrive to the end and you realize, and okay, so we realize that your the best learning style for you is kinesthetic. It is already a learning that you are learning how to learn. So it is also good if, as support person for the learning process, you and your participant, you actually don't really know what is the best learning style. You just try different ways, and this could be a really good also learning output from the activity. Another one, only because we talk about the Kolb's experiential learning or the Kolb's experiential learning cycle. I wanted also to share with you that he has this theory of the learning styles that are connected with the cycle. And as you can see, you have also in the cross, let's say, it's splitted by what we saw before. So in the up you have the concrete experience, so by feeling, and in the opposite side, in the bottom, you have the abstract conceptualization by thinking. So feeling and thinking in the opposite sides. On your right you have the reflective observation, watching, and on your left the active experimentation, doing, watching and doing also as opposites. And in the middle you have these different learning styles according to Kolb's, that you have the divergers. They like to feel and to watch. They are more creative, imaginative, and people oriented. So they benefit from brainstorming, sharing stories, and reflective activities. Then you have the assimilators. They like to think and to watch. Now, maybe you can also identify yourself here. Logical, analytical, and theory oriented. They benefit from models, explanations, and structured content. Then we have the convergers. They like to think and to do. They are more practical, more problem-solving oriented, and they benefit from experiments, tasks with clear outcomes and technology. And finally, we have the accommodators. They like to feel and to do. They like the hands-on, the experiential, and the intuitive experience. And they benefit from simulations, projects, trying things out, and flexibility. So this is another theory. We are not going to do again the game, but this is another theory of the learning styles. This connected with the learning cycle that we saw from Kolb. But what is important for you at this moment is to understand that people learn in different ways. They can learn by seeing, hearing, doing, thinking, moving, discussing, or reflecting. And a good non-formal education program includes all these styles. It can include, if we are talking in a group, especially, you can include all these styles. You can do activities that includes all these styles, so everyone can learn in their preferred way. Or if we are talking about an individual, you can know already their learning style, but you can also test and try different learning styles, as we said before. But what we are why we are talking about this, the learning, it's important for you as support person that you are supporting your participants with the learning process, is for them in this learning process. The important is for them to realize what they have learned. So it's important to have the learning goals and to compare with the final learning outcome. So this comparison is what will give them also the awareness of what they have learned. And this, in the end, because we are talking about programs, Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps, will have some proof, some certification of the competencies that they have developed. And here we are talking about learnings, we are talking about learning styles, learning theories, but in the end, it all will sum up to competencies. But here, and this is actually to finalize before going to a break, what is a competence? A competence is complex and sometimes is more difficult also for the participants to understand if we talk about competence. A competence is actually integration of different components. It is the ability to apply these four components: the knowledge, the skills or abilities, the attitudes, and the behaviors in real life situations. The competence is not just what I know or what I can do, but it is the integration of all of these thinking, doing, and being. As definition, we can say that a competence is the demonstrated capacity to act successfully in a specific context. And it becomes visible through your actions, your choices, the problem solving, and how you adapt to the situations. It is complex normally, and what we advise with your participants, it's not to talk in general about competencies because it can be a complex concept, sorry, but you talk about specific actions. So instead of competencies, you talk about actions, and then in the end, it's also your role as support person in the learning process to translate these actions into competencies, and we will see about that. But what I wanted to highlight here is, imagine that you have a participant with intellectual disabilities for 2 weeks somewhere doing a mobility project, and he doesn't develop a full competence. So he doesn't develop something that's knowledge, a skill, attitude, and behavior, but only one part of this competence. He developed some knowledge or some skill or some attitude. It is important for you in the support that you are giving to him to value this development. He didn't develop a whole competence, that's okay. There is another step for in the future they can develop the competence. But it is important to value, to make him aware of the development of even just a part of the competence. It is important that, so even if you think, okay, a whole competence is complex and it is very difficult for my participant in 2 weeks to develop a whole competence, that's okay. Even if it's just one part of the competence, it's important to value it with your participant. And so the knowledge is what I know. This one is easy. Knowledge is what I know, is the theory, is information, concepts, facts, and understanding about a specific topic. For example, knowing what intercultural communication means, knowing the steps of project planning, understanding how group dynamic work, and the knowledge is cognitive, so is understanding theories, concepts, or content. Then we have the skills or the abilities, that is what I can do in the practice. It's a practical and cognitive capabilities to perform some tasks. For example, communicating clearly in a group, using tools, technology, or methodologies, solving conflicts or negotiating, planning a budget or schedule. And there are two types of skills: the cognitive skills that goes to reason, analysis, problem solving, or the practical or technical skills to operating the tools, to performing physical tasks or using methods. And the skills are behavioral actions that can be practiced and improved. So also here you can always improve the skills and abilities. Then we have the attitudes, that is what I value or prefer. It refers to a person's mindset, to the belief, the motivation, the values, the ways of seeing the world. For example, the openness to learning, the respect for diversity, responsibility and initiative, willingness to collaborate. And it influences how a person approaches the learning or the action. Finally, the behaviors is how I act in practice. So they are observable expressions of the other three: the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes. It's how a person perform in the real situations. For example, showing patience when working in a team, asking questions to clarify tasks, adapting communication to different audiences, staying calm under pressure. And the behaviors make the competencies measurable and visible. Once someone told me that to explain these differences, that the behaviors is something that normally is the others that can see in you. It's more difficult that you can recognize on yourself, but the others have more facility to see it in you. For example, I can have the attitude, so the value, that I am a very inclusive person. I include everyone. I am friends with everyone. I am very inclusive person. But then my behavior doesn't show it. My behavior, even unconsciously, maybe I have some small discriminatory actions, or I tend to exclude someone or some type of group. And even if I say my value and I promote inclusion and I want that the world to be inclusive, my behavior actually doesn't show it, maybe is inconscious, but doesn't show it completely. So in the end, I don't really have the competence of being inclusive, but is something that someone else can see the behavior, someone else see it better than I see it in myself. An example of a competence that includes all of these, for example, if we are talking about intercultural communication, the knowledge can be understanding cultural differences and communication styles. The skills or abilities can be adapting speech using simple language, listening actively. The attitudes can be openness, curiosity, respect for diversity, and finally, the behaviors is interacting appropriately, mediating misunderstandings calmly. It can be, I don't know, one competence example. I can know the theory really well on how to drive a car. I know all the theory on how to drive a car. I can also have the skill or the ability because someone actually gave me the driver license because I did some lessons. I learned how to drive a car. They give me the driver license and they said to me, yes, you are able to drive the car. Then the attitudes. I really want to drive the car. I want to be autonomous, independent. I actually have a car. So I have this attitude of, yeah, I want to do it and I have everything to do it. But then, in my behavior, maybe, I don't know, I'm scared or I have some block in my mind, I don't know, for different reasons, but I cannot actually drive the car. I don't go there. You give me the key, I go to the car, and I cannot go and drive the car. Do you consider that I have the competence to drive a car if I actually cannot put it on and drive and go somewhere? So there is this competence that you can, in theory, have the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes, but then the behavior is what make you actually do. I see that someone can reflect on this on this competence, this example in the end that I had. So it is what make you actually having all the competence is if you have all these 4 points. I don't know if you have some questions, some comments about this, because now we should have a little break. Let's see, yeah. The second part will be more practical, shorter, let's say, practical with the actually what kind of tools you can use in the practice that we collected in the Prime project to support before, during, and after the mobility your participant. So if you don't have any question, we will do a break. Uh-huh. Wait a minute, I will just also try to, okay. So we came back. There are some questions, something that you want to share. I know that most of you have already studied these learning theories, learning styles. If you don't have any question, we go to the practical tools that you can use when you support your participants with intellectual disabilities during mobility projects. Okay, so we continue. And we start all this learning process and the support to your participants even before the mobility. So, before the mobility, normally the learning goals that they can establish are connected with their expectations of what they will find in the mobility. So it is important for you to explain to them, to understand what they can expect in the mobility project. For example, they know that they are going to Italy, for example, and they have in their mind that Italy for them is like the seaside and beaches. But then maybe they are going in January to the middle of the mountains, really away from the seaside. There are no lakes or rivers because maybe the learning goal, they think about Italy and seaside. I want to learn how to swim. But if they go in January to the middle of the mountains, away from the seaside, no lakes, no rivers, there are no pool in the structure, in the venue, it will be kind of difficult for them to learn how to swim. So it's important for them to understand what they can expect in this mobility so they can rearrange their learning goals and try to find some realistic learning goals. So you should, there is this work together, this collaboration with the hosting organization, and you can also arrange some supportive tools for this. So an info pack that can be in easy to read or easy language, it's important for you to work with the hosting organization to have this info packed with information about the program, the activities, the accommodation. For example, imagine that they are going for a short mobility and they are going to live in a hotel. They want to, I don't know, learn how to cook, but they are going to live in a hotel. The meals will be always out in restaurants, or they are not going to have access to a kitchen. It can be difficult for them to learn how to cook if they don't have these conditions. Or the hosting organization, maybe if they know that they really, really want to learn how to cook, it can arrange an activity that maybe they can share something, some meal, something with the others. So it's important to know the context, what they can expect, but also to understand a little the participant and what they like and what they would like to develop. Also, an online meeting with the hosting organization can be really nice to have because they can meet the people that are going to host them. They can make some questions directly and, know a little more and take some questions and doubts about the experience. And that is always a good practice is to do some research about the hosting context. You can go with them online in the Google Maps and see where it is the venue, the distance, go to Google Street View to see how it looks like the town, see some pictures, explore a little, research a little about the culture, what they can eat in Italy, for example, what are the food there, some cultural information about it. So it is also important also to establish the learning goals to know what they can expect of this mobility. And when you know a little more of what you can expect, you can help them establish the learning goals. And as you know already, the goals should be smart. So they should be specific what exactly they want to learn. Let's see that they are going to Italy, they know that, and they want to learn a little Italian language. But you should be specific. So what exactly do you want to learn? It should be measurable. So do you know something already about Italian language, or do you know anything? And we should be able to measure your level, let's say, what you know in the beginning, and to measure also in the end of the mobility, what did you develop, what did you learn. It should be achievable. Is it doable to do this? If you go, for example, do you want to, in 2 weeks, do you want from the A1 level of Italian, you want to end with a C2? Is it achievable to be to have full conversation, or do you want to learn only the basic of Italian to introduce yourself, for example? It should be realistic. So do you have the conditions to learn it? You want to learn Italian, but you are going to Spain. Is it realistic to learn Italian if you are going to Spain? Well, sometimes yes, but you should also evaluate this, and should be time bound. So if you are going 2 weeks to Italy, is it realistic also that you are going to end with a full conversation, that you can fully talk about anything in Italian? So also with these SMART goals, the learning goals, you can here define that your learning goal in these 2 weeks that you are going to Italy is from zero, that you don't know anything about Italian. You can, in the end of these 2 weeks, know about the basic sentences, the basic, I don't know, to say hello, good morning, thank you, my name is. So is this realistic? Is this a SMART goal? Okay, then you can define your goals. It's better also for them to the expectations to be realistic. Not that, okay, I'm going in these 2 weeks, learn everything about Italian, and I will be able to talk with everyone about politics, or all kind of thematics. But this is for all goals, they should be SMART. So here you have this orientation on how to support your participant. And now practically, how can you do it? What kind of activities you can do with your participants? Some tools that can help you, of course, talking with them and reflecting about what the expectations are, and etc. And some supportive tools that we are going to see. These supportive tools you will find in the end of the Prime project, in the handbook and in the platform, some supportive tools also for these learning goals, some activities that you can do with them. And this also depends, of course, in the learning styles, as we talk about. So for example, you can, before the mobility, do an activity with using images, photos, or pictograms, like here, that you, as we said, we don't talk about competencies, but we talk about specific actions with them. You have different pictograms. You select some pictograms to show to them, and you talk with them about them. What do you what is for you this kind of pictogram? What do you want to develop? So they can choose, and our advice is for them to choose 3, 4, average of 4 actions, let's say, for them to develop during the activity, during the mobility, because if they choose a lot, it will be also very pressure on them I need to reach 10 or 20 actions. So if you make it more, 4 actions can be enough for them to focus on those actions daily. So you define some of these actions for them to develop, or it can be a written list. It depends on your participant. Here again about the learning styles, if they like or what, if they know how to write and read, if they like to make lists, you can do a list of actions that they can develop. Or you can also do a video interview, for example, in the beginning. You can interview them to have also this feedback in a different format, let's say. Saying that before the mobility, there is also another option, a further option, not only to select or to define the actions they want to develop, but you can do also a self-assessment. It is an extra, let's say, to establish the starting point of their learning in the beginning of the mobility. We have different tools in the Prime project to establish these levels of autonomy. So, for example, you can use the pictograms. You can use, we have one of the examples we have is a Google form that they can, with the pictograms, they can choose the level. If they, for example, they know how to do the laundry, they don't know at all, they know a little, quite well, or a lot, or you can put it like, I don't know how to do it, I can do it with help, or I can do it on my own. There are the different levels that you can use. Or you can have also these not at all, the levels, not at all, a little, enough, very much. And this also can be a tool that is useful also for the hosting organization, and it depending also, of course, in the type of a project, the type of mobility. It can be very helpful also if you are preparing vet traineeship to understand their abilities, also for the workplace. So there are different tools that you are going to find in the Prime project that you can do this self-assessment even before the mobility, to see the starting point of the participant before the mobility on the different actions, we are talking about actions, and then you will transform it, let's say, in competencies. So this is the starting point. And when you establish the learning goals, during the mobility, it's a work in progress that you need to support your participants. So the aim here is to compare the initial learning goals that they define, what they want to learn in the beginning, and the final output. So in the end of the mobility, did you reach those learning goals that you wanted to reach? Here, the difficulty for them normally is to recognize, to be aware, or to remember even what they have done during the mobility. So the important that you should support your participant is to record these learnings. It will be difficult for them in the end of 1 month, 2 months, even 2 weeks, to remember everything that they have done. So it is important that daily or almost daily to record what they have done and to transform it, to make some reflection, some talkings with them, to understand that this action actually means some learning. There are some supporting tools for this recording that we are going to see one by one, and you can find also in the Prime project. It's depending also on their learning styles, and one of it, and is connected with the way that you selected the learning goals in the beginning. One of it is this table, let's say, with the pictogram. So you have the pictograms that they choose in the beginning, these four, for example, 4 actions, and then you have like a calendar. This is just an example. You have a calendar, and daily they can tick in each action the action that they did in that day. So today I did my bed alone and I do shopping, and they tick it. And in the end, you will have this visual that they can see how many times in each day they did the action that they proposed to. Or you can have, if you did the writing list, if they like it, if it's a way for them to learn, they can write a journal. They can even paint a graphic journal if they prefer to do draws instead of writing, but is always a way for them to record what they are learning, what they are doing each day. It's also an option if they like it and if they want to develop this ability to make some photos or videos. So each time they do something, they can, if they have a smartphone, they can do some photos or some videos of different moments of the day to record these, and later it will be easier to remember. So during the mobility, there are these different and others different tools and ways to record. That is important to record the actions that they do daily. Important also for you in this learning process is not only let's record it everything, but every once in a while, and to have this reflection with them. Okay, so let's see what you have done until now. Are some action missing? So we should develop more this action that you wanted to do in the beginning, but you can see in your recording that you are not doing it so often. So just to also rearrange and redirect the learning process on their learning goal. And in the end, it's important after the mobility. So the goal is to compare with the beginning and to see if they actually did reach these learning goals. After the mobility, you should reflect with them. You should look at everything, and you do this self-assessment because it's the participant together with you that will analyze what they actually did. And for example, you should analyze the recording, if it's the recording graphically as in this activity that we saw with the pictograms, or going through the journal, the writing or the graphic journal, and see everything and do this bigger reflection in the end. When you have the photos or the videos, it is a good practice to do with them, like, okay, let's do a sum up, let's edit this video, let's do a final video with all our experience that will reflect everything that you did, and of course then do the reflection on what you did. There are also learnings that you reached during your mobility. The reflection and to transform the actions into the learnings and understanding that the actions are learnings is important also for you, and it's also your role as support person to help your participant to understand that and be aware of the learnings. We saw also in the beginning the self-assessment tool that you fill in the beginning before mobility your level of the actions, of autonomy of the actions, and then after the mobility is good also to reflect and to fill in the level that now in the end. Are you better? Maybe in the beginning you couldn't do it and now you do it with help, or in the beginning you couldn't do it and now you do it on your own, or you did it with help and now you do it on your own. It's important for them to see also this development. The complicate here, the difficulty here is in general to connect the actions that they did with the competences. And why the competencies? Because then we will need to, in the context of Erasmus Plus in the European Solidarity Corps program, you have these certificates and you need to match the competencies. And these certificates are self-assessment, and that's why it's more difficult for the participants, and it's up to you to support on this connection. And it's actually about this, the certification. The certification, it makes the learning more visible, more explicit, when it happens through experience, but then you have like a visible proof that you actually develop this competence. It helps the participants to recognize their growth, and we will see also with the Youth Pass, for example. The facilitators or the support person, you, the support person that are supporting in the learning process is helpful to design the meaningful educational experiences. So also during to do this monitoring to see how to develop or to improve this experience. It helps the organizations as also to assess the progress, the strengths, and the learning needs. And when you have the certification, and that's why they did it, this certification, it will help you help the participant with employability, personal development, and active citizenship. And you have these in these two programs that we are working in Prime project. You have the Europass Mobility and the Youth Pass certificate. They are documents that are self-assessment, so it is not someone else that will tell the participant, you learn this, but it is the participant himself that needs to recognize, to self-assess his own learning, and to fill in also these certificates. There are the websites that you can go and explore a little more. And actually, I can show you if you never saw, for example, the Europass mobility, that is strictly connected also to the learning agreement. The learning agreement is another document that you fill in the beginning of the mobility, some kind of contract, let's say, between the participant and the organization. And also from the learning agreement, it already says some learning outcomes that during the mobility are expected to reach. Then in the Aeropass, you have all the different learning outcomes for the participant to fill in with what he developed. And also in the Youth Pass, this is an example of a Youth Pass, and as you can see, there are the different key competencies that the participant needs to fill in. The difficulty and the competencies are already defined. There are several competencies from the Europass, for the Youth Pass. There are the several competencies, and sometimes the difficulty for participants, and not only for participants, is to understand what is inside each competence. For example, just a general example, sometimes when they see mathematical competence and competence in science, technology, and engineering, they say, okay, I didn't develop this. I didn't have the, I don't know, mathematical classes, so I didn't develop this. But actually, if they manage their own budget, the budget that they get from the project to go to shopping or to, you know, go to for a coffee and pay for it, the manage of the budget is already a mathematical competence. So actually they develop this competence, but the important here, and your role is also to connect these actions with the competence, the description of the competence. And for example, in the Youth Pass, website, you have a lot of material that can help you to develop, to understand better this and how to support your participant. You have a document that explain, it's all about Youth Pass, and explain each competence. It has a description of the competence, how in the context of a mobility project you can develop this competence, and then some questions that help on the reflection, to reflect and to understand if you actually develop that competence. So here they have this document that is very useful for you to understand each competence and to support your participant. Then also in the Youth Pass website, you have a lot of material, handbooks, for example. You can go to the website and you publications, handbooks, and you have a lot of them. For example, this one is the one-to-one, the supporting learning face-to-face, and you can go there and explore a little more some tools, some tips of the Youth Pass team on how to support the learning process of your participant. Then, of course, you need to adapt to your own participant. But these official documents sometimes are complicated, even for us. So the Prime project, as you know, also developed some documents in easy to read. So they are targeted to the participant with intellectual disabilities. And these support documents, they will help fill in and understand these official documents of these programs, the Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps. In this case, for example, we have, as I said, the learning agreement is strictly connected with the Europass certificate in what concerns the learning goals. So we have in the Prime project, and it will be available in the platform, a learning agreement support document in easy to read and the Europass support document in easy to read. For the youth pass, let's say, we have the volunteering or activity agreement, as you want to call it, that is strictly also connected with the youth pass certificate with what concerns the learning goals. And we have in the Prime project, we have developed the volunteering agreement support document in easy to read that explains the volunteering agreement and all these parts. A document that is all about the youth pass in easy to read, that is the reflection of the one that I showed you before that explains all the competencies, and the youth pass support document in easy to read that helps on the filling in this document. Why? Because even if these are support documents, they are not, they don't substitute, they don't replace the official ones, but it's important for your participant to understand what they are filling in, to understand what they are signing. So they are supporting documents to fill in the official ones that then the national agencies and European Commission ask you to do in your mobility project. Just a quick overview on how it looks, this document. So you have the all about youth pass in easy to read, the youth pass certificate support document in easy to read, and the Europass support document in easy to read. This in what concerns the certification, the recognition in the end of the mobility. As you know, and this will be also available, of course. They are done, they are just need to be released to the public. And as you know, we have this tip, so you should, even if these documents will be in English, you should translate it to your participants' own language. So when you are going to use it in your daily work, these documents, if you feel that your participant, it can be useful for the participant, you should translate it in the participant's own language, so it's more understandable also for them. And as you know, we already have in our YouTube channel, in the Prime YouTube channel, we already have one online training about easy to read, how to do your own documents in easy to read. And we will have soon another online training about easy to read, and specifically about each document that we created in Prime project and how to use it. What we will see each document, we will analyze also how to make it in practice, how to make it more adaptable to our participants. So I invite you also to be and to see the online training about easy to read that will be in YouTube channel. And say that I only wanted to unveil a little one work in progress tool that will support the learning process of the participants with intellectual disabilities. So we are also creating in Prime this open educational resource. There is a tool in gamified approach that will support the learning process of a participant in a mobility project. It is still a work in progress, so that's why I'm not showing all the tool, but the idea is the first one that we talk about, you know, with the images, with the pictograms, is for the participants. Before the mobility, they select the actions, not the competencies, but the actions that they will they do want to develop during the mobility. Then each day they can recording the times, how many times they did this action with help or alone, so they can record it this. And in the end of the mobility, there will be this visual graphic, let's say, that already the system already will connect each action with the specific competencies that we can find in the certificates. So it is a work already, easier work or already done with these connections, the actions with the competencies. And the participant will be able to see the development, the progress of that competence that includes the actions that he did during the mobility. Again, is a work in progress. It will be available in the end of the project in the platform for all the public. So it is one tool that we thought, knowing by experience the difficulty of this, the supporting the learning process. It's a tool that we wanted to create to support a little also the staff and the participants. And I'm sure that in the end of the project, we will have a tool that can support us in our daily work and the participants in a mobility project. So it should be the final slide, the final thing for me to share with you. And it's on time, let's say. I wanted to ask if you have some questions, some comments, some stories of learning process or learning outcomes, amazing learning outcomes that you saw in your participants during a mobility project. The word to you if you have something to say. So I believe that we are eager to try out these tools also to in the actual mobilities with our participants. And of course, these are tools, there are suggestions, but there are tons of tools that you can use or create. And it depends always on your participant and their needs and their abilities. So it's just a glimpse of what we can do and what we can share with everyone. Okay, thank you for all the reactions with emojis. And oh, Ola, you are also learning something about the Zoom reactions. Yes, always learning. You see, it's a continuous journey.
It's an informal education for Ola.
Exactly, it's informal
Yeah.
because
Yes.
no one programmed this, so you just
Exactly. That's
you
true.
just learn it. Okay, so
Thank you, Susanna.
thank you. Thank you, and we will see for sure in another online training. In another online training, we will see each other for sure soon. And that's
Thank you
it.
very
I
much,
hope
Susanna.
you can learn a lot informally or non-formally or formally. You just keep learning and sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.